Josh, and welcome to the 10th Annual Big Sky Aerie Reading and Book Premiere. Every year, the Big Sky High School Aerie class holds 4 poem and short story readings. Most of the students in the class start in creative writing and go on to Aerie. Over 600 poems, short stories, and artwork are submitted to the class and cut down to a 94-page book. So let's take a closer look at these writers and listen to their someday famous poems. How long have you been writing for?
Since sophomore year, so 2 years.
Year and a half.
A long time.
Writing? I just started Aerie this year.
Really?
But I've been writing forever, yeah.
Okay. And do you have any really good memories from the class?
Yeah, people are really fun. Jordana, she didn't read tonight, but she's always complaining about her writing. And yeah, I just like the readings. Nick and Alex are really funny. But yeah, no special ones.
I don't know. Probably putting the book together, we'll say. Seeing the finished product.
Dropping it was probably the best thing that happened. I didn't have a great grade.
I don't think I really have one specific memory, just that everyone's crazy. And it's pretty laid back. It's a fun class.
What inspires you in your writing?
Nothing really. Assignments. This one that I'm reading tonight was a dream.
I just kind of go with the flow, like my emotions, and I just put images to my feelings.
We're going to say Kim Tritz, all the way.
I find that in my writing, often dance shows up, and I often have, I used to live at this lake in northern Wisconsin. That shows up a lot. But generally outdoors. I get a lot of inspiration from that.
And do any famous poets or writers inspire your work?
Not really.
I never read poetry, so no.
And do any famous poets or authors inspire your work?
I really admire Langston Hughes. He's a really good writer, so. I like Anita Andreessi. She writes very sensual poetry, and it's fun to read. I like it a lot.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Welcome to the final Aerie reading of the year. This is our favorite one because the robot wasn't lying. The book is published and ready, and it is rocking. And we got some great readers tonight, and oh man, it's going to be a blast.
This is called Aerie Under the Trees, and yeah. You may notice that there aren't any trees above us, but if you look at that way, there's a couple of trees, kind of. That you could call them trees, maybe.
You could always do the Evans Lynn remedy for, you know. I'm just saying.
Want to just get started here?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no recovering from that.
Go for our first reader then.
Our first reader, as you may notice from the list, is Steve Ledger. He has a very, very interesting story. Steve just got back from Costa Rica, which is true. And he was down there and probably helping rainforests and saving monkeys and things. But more importantly, he contracted a few diseases while he was down there. And more than a few, but by all medical standards, he should be dead. But luckily enough, like the hepatitis and the malaria and the tuberculosis, they're all combating each other for the right to destroy Steve's body. Which, lucky enough for us, you know, they're preoccupied, so he's still alive to read for us tonight. So Steve Ledger, come on up.
Thanks. All right, so this poem started in the back of my mind during the Aerie reading, as a lot of poems do, and slowly took shape. This is beauty. As I soak into the grass, real grass, not the lawn kind, I breathe in the life of the sage. The rhythm of the earth, the mother rhythm, directs my heart's own beat. I feel the small creatures who most overlook. They live in blissful ignorance till the shadow passes overhead and continues a circle of life. Slowly the vista comes within reach. Its vast mystery incomprehensible in its complex interwoven glory. It should stay that way, so no one knows what a butterfly means to the thunderstorm. The ecology and diversity overwhelm. Horizon to horizon, revelry to vespers, the whole world teems with life. The life finds the world. I am in too deep, too far gone now to stop the coming night, but who would want to? Endless in their transcendent beauty, the stars stretch on forever. Their peace rains down on me. Moonlight cascades from beyond to reveal that singular and marvelous truth that we should admire while we can, for soon it will be gone again. Thank you.
Kevin make it? Kevin, we've invited him to read at every reading this year, except for one. And that was the only one he showed up to. And it was actually kind of funny because we told him to not come to that reading because we were so angry about him skipping the previous ones. So, but I guess he still hates us. Yeah, so, makes me cry.
Anyway, next on the list is someone very dear to my heart. And I've got this kind of running joke thing going for those of you who haven't been to recent Aerie readings. And basically, when I'm supposed to introduce him, I don't ever say his name, anything. See, I've done everything from just, checked his name off the list, walked up stage, to I think I actually choked to death on his name once. And what else did I do? Oh yeah, we had a vacuum cleaner come on stage and overpower me while I was about to say his name. But this time, it came down to two choices for me for how to introduce him this time. And it was either finally unveil his name with fireworks and banners and naked dancers and everything, the whole shebang. But I could also keep the running joke going and not say his name and, keep a tradition. And since I'm lazy and Aerie can't really afford fireworks,
All right.
Okay.
I don't think I need one of these. Just stick it right there. Okay. This poem, though its original idea, you can say for almost any of them, started as an assignment, a lot of it reminded me of a time in 8th grade when I went into a bird observatory. And I think this poem captured a lot of the same feel. And anyway, the title of this poem is called Bird Watching. What a stupid coot, he says, brushing a hand across the wooden rail, leaning out over the boat and staring into the yellow grasses that nod in the wind. The bird stumbles through the air, a drunken acrobat, clawing above the weeds, red beak snapping, forehead a glittering crimson plate, a scarlet shield. It's not a coot, I tell him. He glares as the awkward black form stutters to a halt, settles into the cool water, then glides like a dirty sailboat between green snarls of reeds, carving white eddies across the wetlands. What is it then? His face darkens. I want to tell him, but I can't pronounce the word. So I just watch the gallinal sweep behind a bend in the water, common and anonymous. In the book, dog-eared in a drawer at the back of our cedar paddle boat, the rare name glows in Roman font. Above, a map of the world, marked in red and black. Below, a photo of a bird, a silhouette on white paper. The bird takes a brief glance behind, as if nodding to me, blinking narrow black eyes, a shadow fading into grass. Thank you.
all right, did Felicia show up tonight?
No?
Okay, well then we're off.
We're done. Go home, everybody. Sorry. Who is next? Okay, here you go.
Okay, our next reader is this really, really, really ridiculously talented, good-looking, amazing person. And so...
The problem was, Jackie and I are both really good friends with our next reader, and we couldn't decide who got to introduce her. So, we decided to settle it with a brawl.
However, I happen to win the brawl in Aerie class. But since I am lower on the stepladder of the Aerie scale, because I'm the assistant art editor, and Brad here happens to be the art editor, I decided to tell him that he could help me by introducing her and stand on this lovely stage with me to introduce her. So, our next reader is Jessica Prochet.
Alright, so this poem I wrote for Spanish class because Miss Evans Lynn wanted poetry in 2 different languages for the Aerie book, and I had no idea that I was going to read. Like, I'm pretty nervous right now, so I was having a really hard time writing this poem, and I was sitting at my friend Amanda's house, and she's in the creative writing class, so she helped me out a little bit, and I drew a lot of inspiration for this poem from her. It's called El Recordatorio. Sus pantalones de piel de leopardo y zapatos morados diminutos me recuerdan de ella. Su sonrisa y pelo rojo de fuego, la manera en que sopla y los temblores me recuerdan de él. La mariquita y otras criaturas injustificadas pequeñas me recuerdan de ustedes los dos. Usted se arrastra cerca del suelo de donde vino usted y del suelo que será su fin. And in English, reminder, your leopard skin pants and tiny purple shoes remind me of her. Your smile and fire red hair, the way it blows and trembles, remind me of him. The ladybug and other small, pointless creatures remind me of you both. You crawl close to the ground you came from, and the ground that will be your end. Thank you.
Okay, before our next reader comes up, we'd like to insert our first thank you section into the reading tonight. And the first group of people we'd like to thank are those of you who have submitted to the Aerie this year and the past, those of you who will submit in the future, all of you. We love you all very much.
You are the book. Oh, yes.
That's true. Actually, even though Nick and I won't be here next year, we're still thinking about next year's Aerie, and it's never, ever too early to submit to the Aerie. Right, Evans Lynn?
Right.
Isn't that right?
Absolutely. Right
Yeah.
now, if anybody has anything, I'll take it.
In
She'll
fact,
take it right now.
in the
Actually,
box, there's some tape, but there's also submissions for next year already. So if you were thinking, I'm going to be the first one to submit, well, too late. But you can be like the third, and you'll be just as good, I swear.
exactly. Anyway, we're off again.
Okay.
Hello, our next reader is a very good friend of mine. So please welcome to the stage tonight, Jeff Faulkner.
This poem started as an assignment, actually. We were assigned to research an animal and then write a poem about it. So naturally, I went and picked up a book on astrophysics and started looking for material. And this is what came out. Supernova Type 2. The layers begin to form, shell upon shell of increasingly dense matter. In the center, Iron. Under so much stress, electron degeneracy alone keeps order. Then, after 10 billion years, fusion ends. In 1/10 of a second, no longer able to hold out against gravity's insistence, 1.4 solar masses of iron core collapse in on itself. Energy released by the sudden crushing of quantum structure ruptures the star, hurling burned out matter through space at 10,000 miles per second. Supernova Type 2, an explosion 10 billion times more luminous than our sun. Within 2 hours, the star is no more. In the center, a lone neutron star lurks, marking the grave. The elements join the interstellar medium. Some fuse to form the heaviest of elements, uranium, silver, gold. These shall populate worlds without end. Not hydrogen, the lightest, doomed to drift for millennia through endless space. You'll notice the next person on our list is Kaylee Thornock. And she opted out of reading tonight to go to her little brother's baseball game. And so I encourage you all to buy a copy of the Aerie and go up to her and ask her to read you her poem, since she didn't make it to the reading tonight. I'm sure she'd be happy to.
All right. Our next reader tonight is Ashley Zemak, or Zmak, as it actually is. We were kicking around some nicknames for her because she's in the Aerie class, and everyone's got a nickname, like Captain here. Well, Captain. Nick's got a nickname. So, what were we trying, man?
My favorite was the Z-Mac attack.
Yeah, we had some like Zmak, Shellac, and the Ag pack that just didn't work out. They were too long. Oddly enough,
The only nickname that really stuck, and I don't know why, was Chud. I don't know where it comes from. I'm not even gonna, but you know.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Chud.
Thank you. All right, the next poem I have for you, it is like Jeff's a research poem, but I actually did research an animal, and I researched elephants. So here it goes. Queen of the Savannah. A herd of 6 elephants moves slowly along an endless path of cracked clay. Cushioned feet move them away from predators and their dirty trucks mounded with stolen ivory. The matriarch spots a hyena and shakes her enormous head, ready to protect the young. With a low grunt, she moves close to the intruder. He whimpers and sulks into the distance. The young, exhausted, release tiny chunks from their mother's tails. Their eyes droop, footsteps heavier. Trumpeting calls of relief, they roll in warm mud. Night is near. The banyan trees look promising along the orange horizon. Following moonlight, Her Majesty leads the herd to a dark, wet cave. Inside, they feel for salt crystals, just what they need for dessert. Thank you.
Brad? Where'd Brad go? Brad?
Alright, I'm introducing our next reader first, and this is a good friend of mine. I got to know her in drama class when we sat next to each other, and we had some good times in there. And she's also in journalism with me, and we were dancing partners at the dance concert. So, here is Jessica Goodburn, everyone.
Hello. Hi. All right. So we bring this up. and a witch and a detective and all sorts of things. But for lack of things like ocean or mysteries to solve or magical powers, it's kind of hard to do that. So I had to figure out another way. And I found that a lot of kids use their imaginations. And so that's what I did. And so this poem is actually about a pirate. Well, the kid who thinks he's a pirate because of his imagination. So everything in it is through his imagination. We're not really on a pirate ship. All right. Okay. Captain Black Zach. Fine. Zach squinted at the light from the sun. Rotating his cardboard telescope between his fingers, he tried to make out the ominous shape in the distance. He'd been watching it for some time now as it inched its way across the water, shadowed by trees on the other side of the bank. It must be another ship, Zach thought to himself. This was a frightening thought, as the ship would immediately realize he was an enemy and declare war. Suddenly, Zach was distracted by heavy steps on the dock behind him. He turned quickly to see a large eye framed in his telescope. When he was assured the eye belonged to a shipmate, he let the telescope fall to his side. "Ahoy, me matey," he greeted his companion. "There be an enemy ship on our tail, the scourge of the seven seas. He is a real sea dog, Olaf the Fierce. I've been watching him since daybreak, and he be a-coming closer now." "Okay," said Jeff, plopping down beside him. "I brought crackers." "Blimey, matey, not now," Zach silenced him. "You got your head in the clouds." Shaking his head, Zach directed his attention back to his telescope. The ship was progressing, closer by the minute. Racking his brain for a plan, Zach scanned for any available asset. A few twigs, filled with gunpowder, were scattered aimlessly around him. Then, in the corner, he spotted the cannon. Crouching, Zach made his way over to the large weapon. He inspected it carefully. Finally, confident that the cannon was in working order, he took one more look at the oncoming ship. "Sure me timbers, matey," he yelled. "It's a-coming closer!" In an attempt to delay the ship's arrival, Zach shot a catapult in its general direction. Then he looked down at his shipmate. Jeff lay on the edge of the dock, absent-mindedly running his fingers through the water. Zach was utterly disgusted. "Get up, you idiot," he grunted. "Sail ho!" Jeff stared at him blankly, brushing away cracker crumbs from his chin. He rose to his feet and started to turn and leave the dock. "This sucks," he said. "I'm going home." "No, you don't," Zach yelled, jumping in front of Jeff to block his path. "You're going to have to get through me first." With this remark, he drew his cutlass and held it to Jeff's throat. "Get your stupid stick off me," grumbled Jeff. "Yo-ho-ho, now me swords a stick, eh? You're going to be singing a different shanty when you're hanging from the yardarm." Zach grunted as he knocked Jeff off his feet. "Now get up and fight me, you cowardly swab." "Fine," said Jeff, starting to get up. "No, you don't," yelled Zach, leaping on top of him. Still holding Jeff down, Zach pushed him until his head was no longer on the dock. "Now," said Zach, "say arg." "No," Jeff shook his head. "Say it," yelled Zach, "or you'll be dancing the hempen jig." "No," yelled Jeff. "Say it," yelled Jack, tightening his grip on Jeff's collar. "Okay, fine," Jeff finally conceded. Zach took his hand away, but Jeff rolled over, pinning Zach to the dock. Jeff chuckled. "Just kidding." "Blimey, you can't hornswoggle me, matey," Zach grunted. "Get off, or I'll bring you down with me sword." Zach squirmed and kicked wildly in an attempt to move Jeff from his chest. Jeff stayed put. Finally, desperate for a way to escape, Zach heaved his legs towards his head, overturning himself and his shipmate. Two large splashes erupted as the boys broke the surface of Zach's ocean. Zach emerged from the water to find Jeff thrashing and sputtering a few feet away. "Blimey," he gasped, noticing Jeff. "Can't you swim, matey?" No, gargled Jeff, "not without my water wings." "Shiver me timbers," said Zach. He paused. "You're going to be okay now, matey." Suddenly, overcome with the excitement for his new mission, Zach paddled his way to the edge of the dock. He hoisted his dripping body from the water and turned to rescue Jeff. "Here you go, matey," he shouted, extending his sword to Jeff. "It's too far," Jeff screeched before he was submerged again. "Blimey," yelled Zach. He looked over the surface of his ship. to find a rescue tool. At last, his eyes landed on an empty keg in the corner of the poop deck. Keeping his eyes on Jeff, Zach fashioned a life-saving device by attaching a rope to a keg. When Jeff's head appeared again above the water, Zach threw the keg overboard. "Heave ho! Grab a hold, matey!" he yelled. Jeff seized the rope. He gasped for air as Zach heaved him closer. It wasn't until Jeff was safely on the dock that he realized what he'd been holding on to. Frantically, he tore apart Zach's keg to reveal its contents. "Oh man," he whined, "you got my crackers all soggy." As Jeff inspected the remaining sealed packages, Zach returned to his former quest. Peering through his telescope, he searched the horizon for the enemy ship. It was nowhere to be seen. Zach smiled, proudly gazing at the Jolly Roger hanging from the pole to his right. "Blimey," he said, "that catapult must have scared him off. All hail the scourge of the seven seas, Captain Blacksack." "Shut up," said Jeff.
Hey everyone, I'm Alex. Our next reader tonight is Andrew Stoley, or as he's more commonly known in the Aerie class, Stoley. He's actually an Aerie alum, kind of, because he actually got out of the class at semester, but you might look around and go, why on earth would anyone want to leave the Aerie class with all these readings, the book that's coming out sometime here tonight? Why on earth would anyone want to do that? But we were kind of wondering that ourselves, so we invited him here to speak. And actually, he's reading next, so I don't know. You can try and get him to speak. But maybe if you're really, really nice to him on his way out and clap really loud, he'll not quit halfway through the poem.
Well, Miss Evanslyn prides herself on being the best LSD acid trip guide in all of Missoula County. And she kind of urged me to write one of these down, so here it is. It's called Dreaming in D.C. I am the president's son, hanging by chains from the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, with a boy who turns into a bulldog and a spy for the KGB. A walk downtown through the parade and the masked people. One hands me a blue and gold banner and jumps off a log in the mall where an old lady asks, paper or plastic from beneath a liquid floor.
Our next reader is a fellow Aerie member, and she is honestly one of the most organized people I've ever met in my entire life. I opened up her agenda the other day and I was blinded because there are so many different highlighter colors just jumping at me. But I think the Aerie class owes her a big thanks for keeping us organized because, believe it or not, the class could have been a lot more crazier than it really was without her. So, Jack the Tucker, everyone.
Hello. Oh, is it on? Yes. Okay. Let's see. I have absolutely no idea where I got the inspiration for this poem, but it was about 3 weeks late, so I figured I should start writing something. So I scribbled some version of what I have now on a piece of paper and edited it like 12 million times, and this is what it ended up being. Pursuit. Salmon pink clouds ripple at the mountain ridge. Sun fades, pursuing the moon's presence. She runs a never-ending circle, tired and clammy from the chase, never knowing why the moon won't return her call. She reels in her overcast heart. Skies, black as Folger's coffee, linger beyond a starry valley of constellations. Great Bear and Little Bear, mother and her daughter. They watch the sun's trials, a spinning fiasco. Mother knows she has her cub. Far off, the sun slips through endless emptiness. Thanks.
It's all right, Jake. It's all right. All right. We forgot to tell Jake, but this is where we insert thank you section number 2.
The reckoning.
So first of all, I'd like to have all the Aerie members of any year, including this one, stand up right now. Do it. No,
Yeah.
no clapping.
They're not that special.
Okay, now everyone, at the same time, say thank you to your parents for their moral support and their other support along the way. Production Aerie.
Thanks, Ma. Thanks, Pa. Yes, the parents to the Aerie, they're equally as important to the actual Aerie members, so we wanted to throw a special shout out to them.
All right, and we've got some actual specific contributors to the Aerie's production this year that Nick will read out to you because it's in Nick's handwriting, I believe.
Okay. Like you said, it's in my handwriting, so bear with me. The Robbins and Brackenbush clan, as they became known as by Miss Evanslin. The Schmidts, the Tritz and Grandpa Tritz, Jay and Greg's Lawn Care, Chelsea's mom, the Art Museum for donating the space to have our wonderful art museum reading, because as you can see, we have trouble finding good places to have readings. I mean, not to say that our courtyard isn't beautiful, but it's not. And Creative Catering for helping us with get space and for lemonade and all that good stuff and all the stuff they helped us with the open mic reading, which was a first this year, and hopefully we'll be back next year. The anonymous donor, who anonymously donates Anonymous Sons of Anonymity every anonymous year. And Robert Lee for his continued support. Mike Williams Photography. And there's Diana Casey from the Axemen. And Paul and Susan Fredericks of Mineral Logic. And Scott and Mary Meacham. And there's a whole gajillion more, but those were the ones that we thought had a chance of being here tonight, and so we wanted to make a special chance to recognize them. So without further ado, back to the reading, which I believe is Jake's, where now Jake comes up.
Yeah, now Jake comes up.
Yes.
Thanks, Calvin.
All right, now that I'm allowed to speak, the next reader asked me to come up and speak with you tonight. Actually, I lied. I volunteered so I could make nasty comments about him. But some of you know Will Swanwick, and some of you know he plays a lot of video games. And some of you make fun of him for playing a lot of video games. And it's simply not true. He doesn't play all that many video games. He only plays like 8 hours a day. So lay off him. Also, every time he's playing violent video games. So one of these days he's going to snap. Will Swanwick.
Okay, this introduction is a work in progress. Okay.
Is this on?
Yeah. Traditionally,
Okay. That's great.
okay, traditionally when I write fiction more than poetry. And
When I write fiction, one of the key things I focus on is voice, because I think when you have an interesting voice in a story, it doesn't matter what you write about, it always comes out as good. And when you write poetry, or at least when I write poetry, the voice is your own voice, and so it's kind of a different experience. And I've been writing in other people's voices this whole year, because this is my first time actually writing poetry and having people expect it to be good. So I've kind of cheated a lot and copied other people's writing styles, basically throughout the whole year. Well, this time I'm actually going with a voice that I made, and it's the voice of an 8-year-old child who's part of a nomadic group in the Gobi Desert. And the poem is called Leaving Ulaanbaatar. Nestled between the dual humps of my Bactrian camel, I trod lazily behind my father. His beard has turned white, and my mother asks him what you will do when he's gone. He always smiles and laughs at her. We keep the animals in herds. There's little to do but watch them. My father says the work rights your spirit, a necessity when you're older. A group of gazelle traverse the horizon, the first we've seen this trip. Fewer every year. The world is dying. That's what grandmother said. Nothing is still. Everything is going somewhere, and less is coming back. This is the last day, my older brother promises me. Then we'll be to the Caxtrian fields, where the tamarisk grass grows to the end of the world, and the stunted willows cover the ground in endless patches. We are the 5 animal people, our life defined by the animals we herd and those that carry us. We will continue with the meat and fur of the camel, sheep, cattle, horse, and goat. This is our 12th day. We should have stopped 8 days back at the Caxtrian fields, stolen from us this year. New people slept there. My people called them Chinese bastards, who live in metal jars and drink from plastic cups they throw away when they're done. They are rich and never without weapon. They scare me. I had a sister. She fled on wings when the Chinaman wouldn't let her pass. She lay in the dirt by the road near our house the next day. Her body is alone now in that place of death. We left the Gobi for the city, and we come back with less, just like grandmother said. We are nothing, leaving Ulaanbaatar with a memory. Soon I will help make the camp. I will help set the gur, our home now. It will take me a long night, and when the light grows dim, I will watch my father leave our tent, go out to the wilderness, and cry, make me young. I will cry too. My father is old, and I am young.
I got to know our next reader from speech and debate. In fact, I got to work with her lots of times on her speeches. And she's so good at everything she did. She did really well at state this year. But there was one thing we tried over and over to get her to do. But she's such a quiet person, I could never quite get her to be really loud. So, our next speaker, for all your enjoyment, is Laura Hansen. Come right up, please.
I'll try.
In February 1996, 500 soldiers forcibly evicted more than 600 people before wiping Tenochtitlan off the map. After 6 decades as a community in northeastern Honduras, the village was plowed under,
with tear gas, bayonets, and bulldozers. Tenochtitlan. All that remains of this desolate place is the concrete foundations and the overgrown grass. No one lives here but a barefooted race. Tiny orange lizards scuttle as they pass. But the land still remembers that last night. The wind can still hear their cries. And the sand can still taste the blood of those who tried to fight. They were warned to leave, official command. They chose to stay, and the night slowly fell. Gunmen closed in with blackened faces. As lead rain came, night turned into hell. Bulldozers laid waste to the feeble homes. Old men, children, even dogs gunned down. The red sun rose. This place, no longer a town. Thank you.
All right, our next reader is Jim Sontag, or as I like to call him, Chops. When you see him, you'll get it. Well, anyways, we're always looking for ways to sell more Aeries, and so Alex and I, we came up with a great idea, and we kind of did it without Evan's permission. She doesn't even know. But the Aerie this year actually features naked pictures of Jim. Yeah!
Wait. I thought we wanted to sell the Aeries this year.
I got it backwards. We'll show you naked pictures of Jim if you don't buy an Aerie. That's how it goes. Just kidding, honey. Come on up.
Thanks, good looking. Forgive my apparel, I just got off work. I'm kind of a dainty redneck. I enjoy cheap wine, reruns of Sex and the City, and writing poetry. I'm fixing cars. This one's called The Mirror in the Mirage. The storyteller, the liar, the player, the crier, the priest, the hero, the villain, the king and peasant, the fabricator, the extremist, the pacifist, the one who tells the purest truth disguised in lie. The storyteller, whose voice can boom like the thunder and whose eyes can glisten like a creek, whose hands can shape emotion and whose silence can pique wonder. Yes. The storyteller. Every age, every culture, every religion, every place, every thinker and every fool, everyone has heard his tale. The storyteller, entrusted with history, marks on the world, for they are the most honest of liars and thieves. They steal not gold, nor land, nor titles. No, they rob the essence of ignorance and apathy. The storyteller. He can rip tears from the strong and mighty and pull out courage from under the heavy foot of control, carve scars of defeat on the face of the foolish, and sharpen the wit of the aimless and lost. The storyteller. So now listen to this liar and find the mirror in the mirage, because past the smoke and fog lies the truth, and that truth cannot be grasped through another broken reflection. Every story is but a window to stare into your own eyes.
Thank you, Jim. Anyway, our next reader, Jenny Baber, as Nick and I have been figuring out over the last few weeks, years, months, whatever, is incredibly hard to introduce.
Yeah, she's the only person pretty much that we really didn't know incredibly well, so we really didn't have anything to say.
Sorry.
Yeah. Jamie Faber.
Famous nut chops.
Alrighty. This poem I wrote here, I guess music has always been a part of me, and I wrote this on one of those bleak gray days over Christmas break, so here I go. A winter's day. Broken chords and scattered melodies crash upon the keys. Lost notes flood through my racing mind, but a river of existence soon washes them away. Somewhere amongst the cold of winter, I know my song is hanging in the stars. It just hasn't fallen yet.
Okay. Pity Tao, our next reader. It's weird. Every now and then she'll come over to my house and she'll try to steal my dog.
Wait, Alex, doesn't your dog have her address on the name tag?
I think the saying is finders keepers, Nick.
That's right.
Okay.
Pity Tao.
I really don't have a dog. I wrote my poem during an assignment in creative writing where a student would write a sentence and another student would get that sentence and write a poem connected to that sentence. And when I first heard this sentence, I automatically thought of my parents who were refugees during the Vietnam War, and I just connected them and what they're probably going through. And the title of the poem is actually the refugee camp where they stayed at before they came to America. Bon Mi Nai, Thailand. Teary winds wipe the letters from the page, smudge the black ink. One hand clutches the white paper that holds my future. The other holds the bundled plaid sackcloth, what is left of my 18 years. The bus station is crowded with refugees, trying to forget their grief. Men exchange wordless handshakes, while women cry, balancing children on their hips. If eyes were truly windows to your soul, then you would see nothing but sorrow in mine. My husband's silent hand pulls me onto the white bus and into the green, sticky leather seats. Passengers reach out of windows to grab relatives' hands. They say the same thing. Don't forget us. Remember your family. They cry as if someone has died. The land is a brilliant painting that only God can make. I reach up and press my hand against the glass window, try to touch my past one last time before I leave it behind. My husband pulls my hand down and holds it. I turn for the window and weep.
Nick and Alex, you guys have another.
Thank you.
No, you're good to go.
Good to go. Okay, some of you probably, if you're looking behind me, might wonder what's going on right now. But we can kind of explain that. Our next reader, we weren't really sure if we were going to let him read at this reading because he's had this long hair for a long time and it's really got on our nerves, and we're like, Steve, cut that hair. Seriously, give us a break, right? But he won't do it, never. So, we're like, we kind of got used to it. But then, about 5 days ago, he goes and gets it cut into a mullet. Who does that? Seriously, who does that? So we're like, well, we just can't let him read. And then we decided, you know what, that's really closed-minded of us. We are a compassionate class, we accept differences, and we decided there's ways to get around a bad haircut. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for, the removal of Stephen Frederick's mullet.
It's a good thing I'm not paying him, right? Graduates. Oh, this again, it's like a rat's Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Fredericks.
Thank you. All right. Well, I can feel some air flowing. All right. This summer, I did a lot of traveling around the northern part of the U.S. And I stopped through Minnesota, and I took a tour of this iron mine there. And shut down a couple years ago, so they were giving tours, and it produces some of the highest quality iron ore in the States. So I just took that as my inspiration, I guess. And it's from the point of view of the workers there. Sudan Iron Mine, Minnesota, 1968. Soft clicks fill the room as men adjust the plastic straps on their yellow hard hats. They file out to a concrete path, bathed in sun. Enter a rusted elevator riding on metal track, suspended by alloy cable. The grinding of steel gears reverberates through the shaft, carried by the air, screaming as they descend. A jolt, bottom, and the doors creak open to a cathedral hall of Ely greenstone. The miners trudge to ferric trolleys, ride on wooden benches, through a tight tunnel to an open cavern, deposited like crushed ore onto the ground. They march to picks and dynamite, illuminate by headlamp the grotto they blasted yesterday, the one they will return to tomorrow. Their sweat builds the number on their pay slip as they labor, breaking rock, unearthing the cave. Condensation from heavy breath drips from the ceiling of the dark temple. Thank you.
You want to see?
And I just ate dinner. Okay. Our next reader, I'm going to introduce with a little story. Last year when I was in Aerie, I read one of her poems. I go, holy cow, she's really good. And I didn't even see her yet, but and then I saw her. I go, holy cow, she's hot. And so I've been kind of a secret fan of hers, and I figured I'd take this chance at the last reading to let her know. So Katie Kahn, come on up.
Thank you, I think. Okay, I'm going to be reading a story of mine, actually the first 3/4 of it because it's quite long. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. And the title of my story is Saltwater Taffy, and it was the first short story I'd ever written. I wrote it earlier this year with the excellent guidance of David Cates, the local author. So, without further ado, saltwater taffy. The automatic door slid open and blew a cool breath of relief on me as I walked into the taffy factory. The sweet smell of warm sugar overcame me and I adjusted my backpack, sending a chilly breeze through my sweaty shirt. "Hi, Joey," Mrs. Pham said. She was waddling from behind the counter to shake my hand. "Oh, hey, how's it going?" "Oh, I'm great," she replied. "How about you, son?" "I'm fine," I said, reluctantly dragging myself to the pillars of taffy. I followed the red and white checkered floor, looking down so as not to look out the window. I knew the guys were staring at me through the painted glass. Mike was probably smoking. Ronnie was probably picking Butterfinger out of his teeth, and Jay was probably talking to some really hot girl. But they all kept an eye on me. I felt my face get hot as I grabbed a little plastic bag off the wheel. I allowed myself to glance out the window and saw Mike shaking his head, mouthing, "The bigger one." "No," I said aloud, jumping at the sound of my voice. He turned around, blowing a stream of smoke out the side of his mouth. I dropped the little bag and grabbed the biggest one hurriedly. Okay, I thought, just grab some and get out of here. I moved from one pillar to another, not worrying about certain flavors the guys requested. I grabbed sour apple, and my mouth began to water. Red hot cinnamon was gleaming in the sun. I grabbed a few pieces. They were warm and soft in my sweaty hand. Strawberry, lime, vanilla, banana, peppermint, cherry, orange, peach, pear, caramel, Oreo, and cheesecake taffy filled the bag. I peeked around the corner and saw Mrs. Pham's busy filling the licorice bin. I shot a look to the window and saw the guys and some girl linked to Jay cheering quietly. I glanced at Mrs. Pham's one last time, shoved the bag of taffy in my backpack, and held my breath as I walked easily to the counter. "Ready?" Mrs. Pham's asked, sticking the last piece of licorice in her mouth. "Yeah," I said, "but I think I'll just take a jawbreaker today." I opened the clear bin and grasped a speckled jawbreaker in the tongs, moving slowly, begging my hands to not shake. 50 cents, hun." I handed her the money and turned to walk out. "Oh, Joey." Shit. "Would you be a doll and bring this bag of taffy to your mother? I think she could use some pick-me-up candy, don't you?" "I don't know, I think she's fine," I said. Angry she brought it up. Ignoring the fact that I had stolen taffy in my bag, I snapped, "The doctors don't want her eating candy anyway." I stepped outside, numb. We walked down 3rd Street. Every single cell in my body felt as though it was melting. The sun was pulsating, making my skin throb. "Cheesecake, yes," Mike said, holding up 3 pieces of taffy. "God, you should have stolen ice cream," Ronnie said, blowing long bangs out of his eyes. "Yeah." "What's your deal?" "Nothing," I said. "Well, why are you pissy?" "I'm not." "Whatever." I walked home, anxious to get out of the heat. It was dark and smelled like cinnamon. Mom looked worse. Her tiny body shriveled by the second. I swear to God I could watch her shrink. She was propped up with pillows that looked ridiculously huge compared to her body. If it wasn't for tapping fingers on the keyboard, I would have guessed she was already dead. She glanced up from her laptop. "Hey, honey buns, how was your day?" I hated when she called me honey buns. "Fine," I said, stepping around a heart monitor that wasn't on, and an IV pole that hung her robe. "Franny called, wants to know if you're coming to her band concert tonight. You know she has a solo?" "Now I have homework." "Oh, okay. Well, she said her dad was bringing the video camera so I could watch it. Maybe we'll watch it together." She was searching my eyes, looking for some sort of interest. "Yeah," I said, faking a smile. "We'll do that." "What's wrong, honey buns?" she asked, tugging at my Ziggy Marley t-shirt. I had an autographed one hanging in my room. "Nothing," I said, biting hard on my lip, staring at the framed daisy she had above her bed. "Oh, come on. Tell Mama what's the matter." She grabbed my chin and turned my face towards hers. Her bony fingers moved up and down my cheek. "Is that hair?" "Mom," I pulled away. "My man, it's got some facial hair. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a day to remember." She waved her scrawny arms in the air. "Mom, stop it," I said, grabbing her hands and pulling them down. "Fine, ruin all the fun. But don't you think this calls for some celebration?" she said, lifting one non-existent eyebrow. "No," I said harshly. She was too sick to celebrate. Her eyes were much too alive for a diminutive figure. I looked at her bald head and remembered when the first chunk of fiery red hair fell out. I cried. She laughed. She never wanted a wig. She was so proud of her shiny head. "Yo," she said, snapping fingers in my face. "Come back to Earth. Don't you want some ice cream?" "Yeah, I guess so," I said. "Charlotte," she said into her walkie-talkie, "do we have any ice cream?" "Think so." Charlotte's voice sounded manly. She scurried through the bedroom door with a tub of double chocolate fudge ice cream in 3 spoons. She always moved way too fast for the size of her hips. "What are we celebrating?" she asked, feeling my mom's forehead with the back of her hand. "Well, our boy, man, has some facial hair," she squealed, swatting at Charlotte's hand like she would to a mosquito. "Okay," Charlotte said, tapping at the IV bag. "I didn't know that was cause for celebrating, but if it gives you a reason to eat, fine by me." She turned to me. "She hasn't eaten a damn thing since yesterday. Not even my famous soup." "Mom," I said, shaking my finger at her. "So we never got around to why you're Mr. Sourface." "I'm not Mr. Sourface," I said, scraping at the tub of ice cream I held between my legs. "Well, what is it then? Bad day at school?" "No, school's fine." Charlotte was counting silently, holding my mom's wrist. "Well, I just got a call from Mrs. Fames." I froze and dropped my spoon in the tub. "What'd she want?" "Oh, she just said you seemed upset. She said she wanted to send some taffy home with you, but you told her I wasn't allowed to have taffy." "That's crap. I told her the doctors just don't want you to have candy." "Well, who are you to decide what I can and can't eat?" "Somebody has to. You won't do the doctors tell you to do, and Charlotte's pretty much given up on you." "Charlotte, I'm sorry. Would you excuse us?" I could tell she was mad. She never asked Charlotte to leave the room. "Of course," she said, snatching the tub of ice cream out of my hands. "What is this really about?" she asked, folding her hands on her lap. They looked like a pile of bones. "What are you talking about?" I demanded, glaring at the purple floral pattern on her sheets. "I know these past 2 years have been hard, but we've made it this far. Why quit now? You're constantly pissed off. You can't live like that." Tears were welling up inside her eyes. "I can't watch you live like that." A single tear rolled down her cheek. I stood stone still, my jaw rigid with anger. "Do you want to know why I'm pissed, Mom?" I said, slowly and callously. "I'm pissed at you for being so damn selfish. At Charlotte because she isn't doing anything, and I'm pissed at Mrs. Fames because she's so freakishly happy all the time. Fix all that, Mom, and maybe I'll smile every once in a while." "I can't fix all your problems, Joey," she whispered. "I know, and that's just it. You think I'm unhappy now? Think about when you're gone." I was screaming at her. "Have you thought of that?" "You're going to live with your dad," she said weakly. "Hello? Hi, is Franny there?" I asked, pleading with my voice to stop quivering. "Yeah, 1 sec." I heard the person on the other end calling for her. "Hello," she sounded different. It seemed like years since I last talked to her. "Hey." That's all I could say without bursting into tears like a baby. I breathed onto the window and made a line through it with my finger. "Joey?" "Yeah." "Are you okay? Where are you?" "Safeway," I said, turning away from the headlights in the parking lot. "What are you doing at Safeway?" I don't know. I had a fight with my mom, and My voice broke, and I couldn't say anything else. "I'm coming. Just stay there, okay?" "Yeah," I said, hanging up the phone. I opened the door to the phone booth and walked over to the miniature merry-go-round. I sat on a lifeless gray unicorn and traced my finger over the faded paint and etched markings. Something dinged every time someone entered the store. I breathed in a mixture of cigarette smoke and fresh rain on the concrete. The fluorescent lights illuminated my breath. "Joey?" God, she looked good. She was wearing jeans and a red and black striped sweater. Her hair was down and wet. She came over to me and put her hand on mine. "Hey," I said. "Hi," she replied gently. "You didn't have to come here. I just didn't know what else to do," and she put one finger over my mouth. "I'm glad you called." "How was your band concert?" "Fine. I totally screwed up on my solo, but that's life, I guess." She moved to the unicorn across from me and sat down, never breaking eye contact. "Sorry I didn't come." I stopped. I couldn't remember why I didn't go, why I ever stopped talking to her. "Sorry for a lot of things, Fran." "I know, things have been hard." "Yeah, but that's no excuse to just drop the coolest girl I've ever met. I'm crazy about you, Franny. I have been since 3rd grade. I looked away. What's gotten into you? "Don't ever die, okay?" "Yeah, okay," she smirked. "What'd you fight about with your mom?" she asked, leaning forward on her unicorn, luring my eyes to look at her. "I don't know. She just won't take care of herself," I said. "Well, that's gotta be hard." "I just don't understand why anyone wouldn't do what talkers tell them to do. It's like she got tired of listening." "Well, maybe she is tired. I know I would be." "Yeah, but if it was a matter of life and death, don't you think you'd listen to them?" I said, angry she was taking my mom's side. "I'm just saying, try to put yourself in her shoes." I got off the unicorn and faced the parking lot. I imagined lying in bed, playing computer games, and eating ice cream. I'd rather be in her shoes, I thought. I shoved my hands in my jeans pocket and felt a taffy wrapper. My stomach twisted. I turned back to Franny. You're not listening. What am I going to do? I won't have anyone when she's gone. I felt hot tears stream down my face as Franny wrapped her arms around me. The dinging door ceased, and we were in our own world, where girls comfort boys, and life isn't hard. Her warm breath gave me goosebumps down my back, and I pressed my face into her shoulder. I let myself sob until flashes of my father crashed our sappy moment. I stepped back. I won't live with my dad, I said, wiping tears off my face with the sleeve of my sweatshirt. Joey, she said pleadingly. What? I'll live in a shelter before I live with him. You have to give him a chance. Maybe he's changed. Franny, maybe I haven't explained this to you, but my dad left when my mom got sick. He left. I leaned against the cold brick wall and slid down, pulled my knees to my chest. I know, but what else are you going to do? I don't know. I have an aunt in Salt Lake. I could live there. Franny looked stunned and then brutally hurt. You'd move away? She whispered. If it meant not living with my dad, then yeah, I would, I snapped. What's it to you? Franny kneeled down right in front of me. Nothing, she said quietly. What's that supposed to mean? Just leave, Joey. Like father, like son. Then she was gone. I watched her walk all the way to her car. She didn't even look back. I sat there on the cold, hard ground, completely shocked and painfully alone. I was exhausted. I hated the thought of living with my dad. Hated the thought of being in the same room as him. I wasn't sure I'd make it 2 years. That's all I'm going to read. Thank you.
All right. You guys all remember when they were talking about Jackie and how she's the organized one in the Aerie class, keeps everyone in line? Nick and I are pretty much the opposite of that.
Yes.
So we like to throw things into readings like this, like, I don't know, the announcement of the Editor's Choice Awards maybe?
Yeah, just random stuff like that.
Okay. You want to do that now?
Yeah, who are we doing first, Brad? How about the one in your right hand? Just pick one. Which one is that? All right, we're gonna have this presented by the poetry editor and assistant editor if they want to come on down. It'd be Derek Robbins, the poetry editor, Kim Tritz, the assistant editor.
Yeah. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Pity Tao wins the Editor's Choice Poetry.
Awesome. And this is, you know, good for Miss Evansland's money, and you can get it, redeem it from her tomorrow. She's kind of busy tonight with the whole Aerie thing, so just bring it into room 45, 44, whatever.
It's 40.
Hey, it's not like I've spent 4 years in this school. Yeah. And if you don't, then you don't get the money. So, like, only if it's a cape. All right, one more hand for Padita. All right, for the Fiction Award, we got the Fiction Editor, senior member of the Aerie Squadron, Adam Andresen, and Will.
Hey, everyone gets the shot one time.
All right. Oh, Katie Condon. Yeah. Hold on Stick. Stoli been replaced by Will as the quitter. All right, and that's obviously the best story, or we wouldn't have given the award. And you know, she only read half of it, so you have to buy the book for the thrilling conclusion. It's like on Batman. Right?
She said she would only read 3/4 of it because it was too long. So you buy the book. Just trust me.
All right, and finally, the art. we have, I hope I don't get this backwards, you're the editor? Yes, Brad Faulkner, the editor, and Jackie, the assistant art editor. Goes to Jenny Buckavets. You will get to see her wonderful art throughout the book, and more importantly, on the cover of the book, and featured on the back cover. Oh yes, her art actually came to influence the entire theme of the book, and you'll see that, and it worked beautifully, so thank you very much. Yeah, let's keep on rolling. Sounds good. Derek Robbins is up next. Derek Robbins, he's very special to me because I think of him at night and I fall asleep to the sound of my own screams. Because I sometimes wonder where it's from. I think it's either from the amount of slack that he leaves in the Aerie room and that Alex and I pick up every day after day after day. It's either that or that he's abandoned us all for Crystal. That could be it, or maybe he's just plain ugly. I really don't know, but regardless, here he is, Derek Robbins.
All right, thanks, Nick. That was great. Oh, I stashed my poem back there earlier. I kind of got to have my fun earlier tonight when I had to cut Steve's hair off. And now I have kind of a serious poem to read for you guys. Like pretty much every poem, it came out of an assignment. It's actually written as a stream of consciousness poem, which I'm sure you've heard that probably 100 times. Every time you come to an Aerie reading, someone mentions stream of consciousness. Well, you get to hear it again. I wrote this poem, I think, in October or November, and it just didn't really go anywhere. It's about the fall and about Adam and Eve. And so, later this spring, we started reading Paradise Lost by John Milton, and reading that book kind of renewed my interest in that subject. So I went back and resurrected this poem. And yes. And so you'll notice that throughout this poem, it's about the fall and Adam and Eve, and there's a lot of biblical references, but I also took a little leaf out of Milton's book and used a reference from Greek mythology along with the biblical references, because I thought, if Milton can do that, so can I. So, it's called After the Fall. I leave through the empty doorway, remembering the blue-streaked window, its purity and perfection. Now the sun reveals itself through cloudy corridors. The sky falls, crimson, purple. My life as a metaphor, falling from the center. Already the pillars have cracked, and the great Atlas can feel his burden shifting as our world begins to tilt toward the abyss, the uncertain. You can feel it, the twist before the thud, before the stick strikes and the drum's echo reaches your ears. Rewind. Was that a cup of wine on the altar, bitter like your heart, like blood spilled on the cobblestone walk? My soul seeks communion with the past, but time is close behind, pressing his heavy spear against my back. The temple has fallen. Not one stone sits upon another. The funeral bell tolls. To live is to move toward death. Was Lazarus really so lucky? Imagine him stepping out of the grave, only to witness storm clouds approaching. Would he not be tempted to lie back down? That was life after the fall. Before the garden, we were clean and unbroken. The yellow sun, so full of life, so sweet. Thank you very much.
All right, now I have a rocking enough haircut to introduce our next reader. But First, you may have noticed that pretty much this entire reading has been thinly or perhaps not even veiled ploy to try to sell some copies of the Aerie. So here's another one. When you buy your beautiful Aerie, you may notice that there's some digital artwork in there that the Aerie class put together that features pictures of Aerie members. And our next reader, Greg Patel, really does not look bad, or really looks bad in Photoshop cutout. Greg Patel.
Howdy. I got it. Okay. This poem I'm going to read to you kind of came out of my senior project. And for my senior project, I decided to go to Honduras with a good friend of mine, Nick Fleming, over there. Anyway, so we kind of got that idea conjured in our head, and we went to Honduras with Montana Medical Aid and another good friend of ours and a Missoula writer, David Cates, and we were kind of pharmacists when we were down there. We gave out medicine and stuff like that, and for the anyway, I got off the plane. And I thought this was really cool. I looked around and it was, wow, that was awesome. And then I got in the truck that we had to drive in, or that we had to ride in. And we drove for 3 hours in this truck. And when we were driving, I got really scared. And I looked over at Nick and I go, holy shit, what did I get myself into? Excuse my French. And Nick was just kind of, had this happy little grin on his face. And I was scared. It's just so poor. And I thought everybody just had to be like angry or sad. And but they weren't. They were really happy. And it's just how things are down there. And so yeah, this is the poem that kind of came out of that. And so I'm gonna read it for you here now. If you haven't guessed that already. This one's called Feeling Honduras. I ride my plane, humming in the dark, chasing the already set sun. My ginger ale is canned and easy to drink, and anything stronger would weaken my knees, like a kiss for the first time in a long time. Out the window, city lights mimic the sky, blending with galaxies above. No more horizons, just infinite space. Its reflections spray painted on the Earth's face. I wanted to change when I got back. I expected to look at a McDonald's and turn my head in disgust. Honduras is supposed to do that to you. You don't just go to another country. You feel it, roll in it, like a child pretending to be a pig in mud. That way, when you wash it away, the smell stays with you a little longer. Thank you.
All right, before we finish this thing off and unveil the book, we'd like to bring up the jack to our beanstalk.
The McNuggets to our Happy Meal. Boulder to our Sisyphus.
We're not going in there with that. Our lovely and talented instructor and mentor and all that stuff through all 4 years of our creative writing journey here at Big Sky, Laura Lee Evans-Lynn.
About 8 or 9 years ago, we started sending off our Aeries to a contest run by the National Council of Teachers of English. And we've always done pretty well. You know, we went like excellent, to Superior and somewhere in there. In 1999, we got the highest award. And last year, we took it again. And that is an amazing, amazing honor. That's, I think it's 41 magazines in the nation that are chosen for that award. And we have some people here tonight who were a big part of making that happen. And I would like to have Juliana stand up. Is there anybody else here that I haven't seen on that magazine staff? Okay, all of you guys who were on that staff also. It's a great magazine, and Juliana headed up this group of bad boys. This year's magazine really is very, very good, and I think we really have a chance at that award again. I would also like to recognize Jen Andreasen, who's not Andreasen anymore, Listerud. And are there any other old Aerie members here? Jen, just stand up. The last thing I wanted to talk about is my business acumen. The book costs about $12.50 to publish, and we sell it for $8. That's why I'm an English teacher, as opposed to a business person. That's really why we have so many contributors, and we really appreciate all the contributions, because it's our intention to get that book into the hands of students. And we know $13, $14, $15 is a lot. So thank you so much to all the people who help us out and to make that happen so that that book can get in the hands of kids. Thanks very, very much for coming. I have had another adventure this year.
Okay, before I introduce our final reader tonight, I'd like to remind you all to stay seated, well, or in this area, because we'll still be unveiling the Aerie once he finishes. And you should probably buy one, I don't know, they're pretty good. Anyway, our final reader tonight, Nick Captain Fleming. He's a good friend of mine. He makes me laugh, he makes me cry. Actually, I don't really know what he makes me do, because whenever I go over to his house to hang out, he slips a little something in my beverage. And I can't remember anything, but when I wake up the next morning, I have this scar on my back, and I feel 2 kidneys lighter. So here he is, Nick Fleming.
Thanks, Jackie. The organized one. I feel like I'm supposed to have my own poetry. So this is for next year. Mix that. Thanks. All right. All right, as you can see, they like to pick the most prepared reader to, finish things up strong. So sorry. All right, this poem, I really wrote it as part of an assignment, but one of my goals was to prove to the rest of the Aerie class that I am not here just to host readings and for eye candy, because I know that's what a lot of people think, Chelsea especially, but I like to think I can write a little bit. This was the same assignment as a couple other people's. It was the Will's, I think, yes, Will's, Brad's, maybe Adams, I don't remember. It was the research assignment where we looked up an animal or whatever. The original assignment was an animal, and found out as much as we could, and then used all these vocabulary and stuff we found to write a poem about it. I ended up writing mine about a turtle because I've been lucky enough to be to Hawaii and have seen turtles and gotten to swim with them, and it was a really great experience. And so this is about turtles in Hawaii and named after a place where they are. This is called Ka'anapali. The Pacific green turtle glides off the seafloor, producing miniature tornadoes of sand and dead seagrass. A vivid blue light flares off his polyhedral dome, signaling me to flee with him. I leave my Birkenstocks on the millennia-old lava and join his languid exodus. His arched parrot beak slowly opens and his neck extends to the left. "Grab on," he says, tempting me. The signs are everywhere. Do not disturb the wildlife. But the rim of his shell fits my fingers too perfectly not to slide my hand over the edge of his carapace. His enormous ailerons slow to let me climb on his back. Hexagon ridges poke my ribs, and I ready myself to swim. Flippers accelerate, sliding us through the sea of reflected light ahead. All right, the moment we've all been waiting for. This is Jeff's thing, so I don't know how it works if Jeff wants to come up and open it. Him and his crazy Chinese art of folding paper.
I don't know if you noticed, but over here we have the house of Aerie. And within the house of Aerie, we keep our Aerie book.
So,
So here for you tonight, I would like to unveil the 2004 Aerie.
all right, now, all the Aerie members this year, come up here. You got your work cut out for you now. And everybody else, pull out your wallets. You got your work cut out for you now. Before it gets too hectic in here, though, thank you everyone for coming. This is our favorite reading of the year. And thanks everyone. Without you guys and your support, we can't do this. We love having you.
Why did you decide to come to the Aerie Reading tonight?
Well, my son is one of the people reading.
Really?
Yes.
Who's your son?
Nick Fleming.
Cool. Okay. How long have you been coming to the Aerie Reading?
This is the 4th year, and I don't think we've missed a single one.
Really? And are you planning on buying an Aerie book tonight?
We usually buy 3 or 4.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.